So maybe we should wait for a couple more minutes I don't see Jeff on the call yet, so we could wait a couple more minutes for him to call in. Hua is traveling and won't be attending the meeting today.
Hi, this is Wei Wei.
Hi, Vivian.
Hey, Anu.
Jeff's not on.
Sure. Hey, it's Jeff.
Hi, Jeff. So we probably will have a fairly short meeting today, I think. Just to get started, in the room here I have Shaoling, Firat, Trevor, Ergen. Hua's traveling and won't be there, as I mentioned earlier. And on the call I have Claudio, Elizabeth, Huni, Nansu, Stephen, Todd, Tim, Wei, and Jeff. Did I miss anybody?
Yuling's in the office with me.
Okay. Yuling. So on the agenda today, we just have three things to talk about. One is the updates on action items, and then we have the features that we want to put in for DataMed version 3.0, which would be something that we will maybe go over line by line to see where we are at for each one of them. I've just updated it to the best extent possible that I know of, and if there's anything that needs to be changed, please do let me know. So on our action item list, we have complete reindexing that Jeff's team is doing with the updated NLP pipeline. So Jeff, you said that by this week we will have all the curation completed, right?
Yeah. So we did the review of the terms, and there's the two sources that we're finishing that we're fixing because there were some irregularities.
Okay.
Major irregularities. So we should be done with those fairly soon. So then we'll start. So
after that you'll have to go through the reindexing all over again, though, right?
Yeah, no, that's what I said. We have those two to finish. So we'll be starting the reindexing then later this week.
And then the reindexing would take about.
We'll start with the smaller ones, just to get more of those, because we sent a couple examples, but then we'll send more of the smaller ones out.
Okay.
So that you guys can see them, so that in case anything gets noticed.
Oh, that's off. Okay.
Yeah, and then we'll move to the larger ones from there, but.
I did two from Graph, the
you got two?
and ICPSR.
Yeah.
Which is the new one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And they looked okay.
Yeah.
And the ICPSR is off their DATS feed, so we had to convert that. Because before we were doing ICPSR off their OAI DDI endpoint.
Right.
And now the new feed is off their DATS feed. But it was a little since they don't have a full API for DATS yet, we had to sort of do a half OAI PMH, half DATS combination. So So
okay.
it's a little bit of a hybrid mutt, but it's working.
But so Jeff, I guess before we put it on to the website, should we have George or Sanda take a look at it just to make sure?
Yeah, and we can. I mean, the question was also for the NLP ones. You know, are we going to put those on development first because I guess some new search or UI features will be added, right?
What was your ask?
Well, I mean, are we going to, for doing the deployment of these, are we going to go first to development because there's going to be some new functionality around the NLP fields?
It's not developer yet.
No, so
Right.
Jeff is asking, are we going to put, like you got PDB and ICTSR, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we update the development server UI,
Yeah.
so people can take a look at it, and also because we probably will want to implement some things like maybe the word cloud,
Okay.
which is dependent on the NLP, right?
Uh-huh.
So maybe we implement those and then we let people test it,
Okay.
and then we will put it up in
The
the production.
Okay.
I mean,
Either that,
ICTSR you might want to push to production just because it might fix some things, but for the others, I'm not sure if we want to push everything into production yet. So that was my only question.
and I guess we would want to add, for example, the NLP fields for sure in the advanced search.
Right.
All the 6 fields or whatever. We have 6 fields, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we definitely do want to add that to the advanced search, I think.
Okay.
So since Alejandra and Philippe are not on the call, I guess we'll have to wait to get any data type ontology updates. Jeff, do you know if they've...
Hey everyone, John Graybill just joined. I'm not sure if you actually have me intending to join today, but I thought I would check in, it being the third Tuesday.
This is John?
This is John.
Oh, hi, John.
Hi. So if you don't have me on the agenda and you don't want me, I can go away.
No, you're welcome to stay on, and we can talk about some of the things if you would like to. We can just catch up, and then I can...
That'd be great.
I did see your, but I wasn't sure if you wanted... We were talking about doing a bi-weekly one or maybe a separate call, or whether we still stick to once a month.
Right. No, I don't think we've resolved that.
Yeah. So we can talk about some of the updates. I think that might be
Okay.
of interest to you.
Cool. So yeah, I can just hang on the call and listen in to other things, or however you guys want to do it.
Yeah, sure.
So sorry to be interrupting. All right, thanks.
So, Jeff, do you know if Philippe and Alejandra have, because I remember they were asking for access to some of the indices to look at the kind of data types that's coming in from the repositories?
Yeah, I haven't heard. I'll send them a follow-up.
Or I can send them a follow-up if you would like that.
I can already give you a little bit of information, which is that Alejandra is out for a month on a long vacation. I don't know exactly when she gets back. But just so you know, we were just over there last week, so we got to say hi to Philippe and Susanna.
I see. I also think that's May 9th workshop, 8th and 9th, they're going to be there. So we'll see them in about 3 weeks in DC. So for the schema.org annotations, Firat, do you have some updates?
Yes, we are completed and it's in production now.
So the annotations are completed on the UI side, and it's on the production server currently. For the demo of DataMet at CDE workshop on May 9th, Hua will do the demo. Hua and I are going to be attending the workshop. So Elizabeth, do you know if we are going to have ReadyTalk on there?
Yeah, we should have it set up.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, because I might be able to call in, but it depends on my jury duty. I'm on this month-long call-in, so so if there's ReadyTalk, I can call in.
Okay, that's great. So right now, Xiaoling has added dimensions to the advanced search, so we could use that to demonstrate some searching capabilities for CDEs. And Xiaoling is going to try and work on the NLP pipeline, and I'm not sure if we'll be able to get it completed in time for the workshop, but we are going to try.
So Anu, this is Hyuni,
Yeah.
and I have a quick question on that. So now, can we search against the dimension? I mean, the names of the variable or the values as well in the dimension?
Just the names.
The name.
Just names. Okay.
Yeah. And also, I think it's fairly restricted. Not many data sets have dimensions right now.
Right. Only few of them have dimension information.
Mm.
And the level that we are ingesting, for example, from TCGA, we aren't ingesting at the level of getting, the CDEs and even the CDE names right now. I mean, we are ingesting at a much higher level.
Okay.
And also, Firat is still working on testing the documentation that we have.
Yes, we are on the 50% on that, so it's going well.
Yeah, and he's currently doing the UI part first, and then we'll go to the ingestion part. So I just made this list so we can track it easily. Basically, I just split up all the additional features that we are looking, or the extra. Maybe some of them are extra functions. Maybe some of them are improvements of what already exists. Some of them are updates. But this is a list that we want to kind of get completed before 3.0 is released. So I divided it, as we had done earlier, into different parts. Those are mostly very broadly divided, though. So on the metadata ingestion part, we are still working on the repositories, on increasing the number of repositories, but currently we are looking to do the common fund repositories first, and once we are done with that, we will move to the next part. So Jeff, I also remembered that we were talking about pulling in publication data. Do you have any updates? Should I be adding it to this list?
We're already doing that for the data we have, which is Geo, PDB, and maybe one other source.
So this is not the database that was generated by Peter by the pilot project, right? This is just another.
I mean, that's one of the databases that's there.
But we also have a module that's pulling in publication, like title and abstract and other stuff.
We haven't been adding that to the record. I mean, that gets to the search UI if we want that or not to bring in the abstract for the.
I think.
And this would be for the primary publication, right?
if we have the abstract and title of the publications that are associated with the data set, and if you pull that in and run the NLP pipeline on it, you might get some additional information that you probably don't have with the data set itself, right?
Yes, potentially, yeah. So we could, but what does the NLP pipeline cover? Does it hit specific fields?
For the code I sent you in the GitHub is that cover the title and description in the data set, but we can change it to cover more.
Okay.
So once you start pulling in, and if you just let us know, we should be able to modify that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, no, I can talk to Barack about that.
Okay. And I think Xiaoling had looked earlier at the repositories that do provide PMIDs, and they're not a lot, but there are a decent number of them, right?
Right. Total is 9 repositories have PMID.
Right. So I think that would add a little bit. And the curation you said is almost done, and we'll have the reindexing with the NLP pipeline after that. And we also, I guess, need to go back to the issue of updating the repository content and how often we would like to update it based on your experience with the reindexing and the updating that you did earlier. So maybe this is something that we could discuss, Jeff, sometime.
And like we did last time, we'll sort of have a report after we've run through the whole set, and then we can, discuss.
But this one is like a complete reindexing, right? So updating would be different, right?
I mean, it is a complete reindexing, but for the NLP, I mean, we can discuss then, because it depends on, if the ontologies change, how often do we need to, do a full reindex because of that. So that can definitely be something we talk about after we've gone through the run through.
Right, but for the updating, I remember that we said we probably need to develop some kind of a workflow on how we would update and how often we would update the repositories.
Right. It's not really it's less a workflow, more of a sort of dashboard restarting type functionality. More, sort of an automatic co-pilot.
Oh, okay. But that still needs to be worked out, right? We haven't started. I mean, I put it to be started here, but that's why I'm asking whether we've started looking at it yet or not, even though we talked about it earlier. So I'm assuming we haven't started that yet.
No, I mean, we haven't, but we could. I mean, that's something we can do after the full reindex that we can look at.
And also for the pilot projects 4.1 through 4.3, for integration of those, I think those are probably at the back end that any integration would happen. So this is something we also need to get back to and follow up on. And there was some discussion on having some CDE markups at the back end. I don't know if this is something that's feasible or desirable at this stage. So
Markup, markup in terms of?
I guess if the repositories themselves aren't providing information on whether a particular entity is a CDE or not, would we be adding that information in or no?
I mean, the CDE has to be defined in the data source for us to be able to add information, right? So, or unless it's maybe just a CDI, just an identifier.
Oh, okay.
So when you're thinking of CDE in this context, are you thinking of it as I guess I was going to say ontological term, or a URI type of thing is just an identifier, but really the CDEs themselves are big, complicated things that stand on their own, right? So I don't imagine you're indexing CDEs themselves per se.
No, it's just that this data source or this data set has used this CDE. So not indexing the CDE itself, but just indexing that a data set has used a CDE.
Right, thank you. So using it means really that the form or metadata, the things that use CDEs are case report forms, and it's the filling out of the case report form that uses a CDE as a general rule.
Well, I mean, in this case, it's since the data set is the output,
right.
I mean, you might not get the full case report form. You know, it's that they report these 12 elements with their data set.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
It could be a full case report form as well, but I mean, it probably doesn't have to be.
Okay.
So on the search interface part of DataMed, right now what's ongoing is that we are expanding the similar dataset function for all the new repositories, and that's something that's going to be ongoing as and when we add new repositories. We also have thought of a functionality where the users could kind of create a set of repositories or group repositories that they could search. If there are people who want to search their own defined set of repositories, multiple, all the time, then they can create it and store it. And this idea came from one of the feedback that we received, where there was a request to see if we could generate some kind of repository search functionality for just a common fund repositories. So if we are going to do that, then we thought we would also kind of let the users also define it themselves. And some of the other features which are to be initiated are to have additional filters that would be provided. These would be basically facets, which would have maybe file types, data restrictions, with the level at which the data is available from the repository, the organism information, etc. We also have an autocomplete module that we had removed because we had some bugs before release last time, and so we're planning to go in and put that back in. One suggestion that came as a feedback was to have reporting of broken links without sending the user to the original web page to then realize that the link is broken. So this is something that we need to start working on. What's also ongoing is that we plan to add all the metadata fields into advanced search. This is something that was also requested as a feature. And we also need to have the most accessed datasets information coming up, potentially on the home page, I think. But this probably, this is dependent on us being able to track the user activity at the back end, and this is currently being done, but we still do not have the analysis and visualization capabilities of the data yet. Diwakar is working on that, so once we have that, then we should be able to have this information. And the same is true with the word cloud implementation for DataMed, and that would, again, it's dependent on the NLP information at the back end. So once that gets done, we should be able to implement, because I think they tried it already on the development server. So once we have the reindexing with the NLP done, then we will have the word cloud implemented. The next, I guess the next big thing is to actually integrate some of the results that came out of the challenge that we did. So in that we have two which are actually going to be subcontracts, so they will work with us to integrate the results into DataMed. But we also plan to look through the other folks that submitted their papers and integrate interesting features into it. So Kirk and Trevor and Xiaoling, I think, will be looking into that to actually look and see which of the features would be of interest to incorporate. And the other part is actually the CDE search/display. The search part, we right now have the dimension search that's already been implemented, where you can do the advanced search on the dimensions field. And Xiaoling is looking to see if we can have the NLP pipeline, as we discussed. In terms of display, I think we will have much more clarity and more information after we have the workshop. So that's one of the things that will be discussed during the workshop. So I think we will get some more feedback as to how it can be done. Xiaoling has already finished working with the API for DataMed, and Firat has tested it out from the website. I think she's working on the documentation for the API. So once we have that done, we would like to have other members of the team test the API in different ways before we actually release it. So Jeff, I think we plan to have the documentation done in about a week or a week and a half. And then if somebody from your team and somebody from CUNY's team can actually test it out, that would be great.
Okay. Yeah, we can do it like we've done in the past, and we can have with the.
Yeah, I can set it up
task,
in Trello or something, and we can do it that way. And as I mentioned already, for the tracking system, Diwakar is working on visualizing and analyzing the results. We also had a request where a user said that it would be nice to have the feature where you could have alerts to new results from searches that had been saved, which is very similar to what PubMed does. So that's something that needs to be initiated. And you heard last week some recommendations for the UI per se that came from the Working Group 9. Gina and her team are also doing the heuristic evaluation of DataMed, so they will probably also come up with some recommendations. So the plan is to combine all the recommendations and then see how and what we want to implement it. And like I mentioned, data type ontology, Philip and Alejandra are working on it. We already talked about schema.org, and Xiaoling also updated the sitemap for DataMed, so it should. And she submitted it.
Yeah, I submit the sitemap to Google Search Console yesterday.
Right. So we're hoping that should increase the discoverability of DataMed in different search engines. We also have link outs only to limited repositories now, but we talked about doing updates for link outs to the new repositories, so that's something that we will take up a little, maybe in another month and a half time.
Okay.
Besides that, for everybody else, of course, source code, please do deposit in GitHub. We have the help menu and the FAQ that's also being worked on. In the usability studies, we've had one round of user studies that Ram already did, out of which we have the recommendations that came out. Gina and her team are also working on defining different personas for users of DataMed, and that should potentially help us in terms of dissemination of DataMed. And that's about all we have today.
So Anu, just one quick comment. For the schema.org markup, is there a page that lists the fields that were currently that have currently been mapped or being displayed?
Yes, it's schema.org/dataset. Dataset.
No. In terms of the ones that we've actually implemented, do you have just like a table?
I can send you the list.
Okay.
So can you put it up maybe
Okay.
in
I'm using
GitHub or
an
something?
array, so I
Yeah.
can send it to you.
Okay.
Okay.
But maybe this is something that we should include also in our help or FAQ page, right?
Yeah, I mean, it could be in the FAQ, yeah.
Okay. Are there any other issues that we should talk about? So John, is there anything specific that, so once, I know you were interested in the API.
Yes. We were interested in a number of different things that we discussed at the in-person meeting, and
Yeah.
I guess I'm looking for the follow-on, how we proceed on the follow-on discussion and action items with respect to that meeting. I'm especially eager for notes because I didn't take very many. Although I do have some somewhere.
So from what I understood, we probably were going to, one was of course renewing the, getting back to having the monthly meetings at the minimum.
Right.
And also the other one was to, once we have the API up and running, then to have you guys getting accessing our website, right?
Right. Right.
I mean,
And,
we had the notes document that we all shared and sort of took,
oh shoot.
right? So we had that.
You're
joint-
right. Thank you. That's what I'm blocking on. We did have that.
Yeah, we sort of did collaborative notes.
That's right. And I guess so. That will be that's very helpful. I will dig those up, and but there was talk anyway of someone there putting together more concrete notes.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone did. I mean, I can. If we sent, if we can all sort of take a look at that note page again and sort of fill in.
That sounds good.
I'd have some additional stuff and.
Yep, that sounds good. And I did think that we had agreed to start regular meetings. I think we talked about biweekly to start. And I don't remember if there was a specific action item for who was going to drive that and cause that to happen. Do any of you remember?
I don't think anyone was sort of was assigned. But I mean, do we want to do this as a separate call?
Well, if it's going to be a bi-weekly meeting, I think having it separate would be better. If it's once in a month, I think it's okay still to have it during our technical call, but bi-weekly would mean
Right.
I think quite a bit of time getting taken away from the other.
I mean, we could do. I mean, if we wanted to do it bi-weekly, we could take the slot opposite the other BioCaddy meeting on Tuesday, right? Since that's a bi-weekly meeting.
Oh, okay. You mean the EC meeting?
Yeah, but do it on the off week.
Oh, okay. Provided John and his team would be available. This would be at 9 in the morning for you guys, I think, right?
No, 10 a.m.
10? Okay, yeah,
10.
it's 12 for us, right?
10 a.m. on which day?
Tuesdays?
Sorry, didn't hear that.
Tuesday?
Oh, on Tuesdays? That sounds good, I think. Yes. Yeah, do you guys want to, is it easy for you guys to set one up, or would you like us to do that?
So I think it's probably not next week, but it would start the week after next week.
That'll be perfect for us.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think I've found the appropriate things. So we had let CEDAR know BioCaddy APIs. We talked about agreeing on an identifiers approach. So BioCaddy could present to CEDAR your current identifier strategy, and CEDAR could look at registering our prefix. Then we had alignment of mapping and annotation of properties of individual fields. Exchanging metadata about data sets between the systems, alignment of data models, and potentially a team proposal of some sort. And so those are maybe topics for the first meeting, if not before.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. Do you guys have that URL? Should I send you that URL just for getting us all up to speed, or do you have it ready at hand?
Yeah, I probably have it somewhere, but
I'll
sending it
go
around.
ahead and
Yeah, it would be great if you could send it again.
Yeah. I'll do that, and then you can incorporate whatever's appropriate, Anu, into the meeting proposal / announcement. That would be great.
Okay, thanks.
Super. Okay. Thank you. That was the principal thing I wanted to achieve. Appreciate it. Anything? You guys have any questions or issues for us at the moment?
So we are done with the BioCaddy template setup already, correct? I think Yuling already finished that.
There is a template that exists. I don't know that it's done in the sense of anything has happened with it. I don't know that it's been tested or integrated or anything else. I think it is maybe a first draft that may be harsh. That's just my sense of it from what I've heard so far.
So when you mean tested, are you talking about testing against synthetic data or something like that?
Synthetic data, real data in the actual production system, yeah, any or all of that, right?
Right,
So,
I think that was planned, but maybe we haven't started that. So is
right.
the testing to be done from our side, or, and after that you would potentially integrate it, right?
So the testing is done. I'm thinking of to be done from your side in that it has a lot to do with, does this meet all of your needs? Are there does it actually work for what you intended, to use it for? Those sorts of domain-specific questions that you all have the answer for. What I would expect to have happen is that the first day you try it, you'd say, oh wait, we can't represent this. Oh wait, that needs to be correlated with this other thing. Maybe we should validate that, these kinds of real-world operational questions come up that wouldn't be obvious to us necessarily, but will be to you when you actually start working with it. And so we have a little bit of I think we didn't talk about this in any detail in the meeting. At least there aren't any notes under it that I can find. But we hadn't definitized the plan, shall we say?
It partly gets rolled into the the discussion we had about registering data sets in the commons, because we really didn't have, other than sort of synthetic data. There's nothing we have right now that's real in terms of data sets, and that's also the commons discussion we had, or the second one was with the annotation ability to annotate the schema elements in CEDAR, that we potentially map data that's there to BioCaddy elements, and then see how that works.
Yes. Let me make a note of that actually in that page. Yeah, we didn't have a use case walking into the meeting for how this template would be used, and we at least one that everyone intended to actually implement. And going out of the meeting, the proposal idea for registering a data set in BioCaddy and pushing it to Commons seemed like a very relevant use case for that particular situation, but we hadn't pushed it beyond that idea yet. So that would be a subject to discuss. Good. Well, let me send off the information I have. I'll send it to you two, Anu and Jeff, and then you can take it forward. Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds good. Thank you. Okay. Excellent.
So is there anything else that we should talk about, since we have 15 more minutes? If not, then we can close a little early today. Thank you all for calling in.
Thank you.
Bye.